This week on The Geek, the Nerd, and the Tangent, we wing it. Hey everybody, this is The Geek, the Nerd, and the Tangent. We're going to get geeky, get nerdy, and go off on tangents. And this week, we got a lot of random stuff to round up, and it's just basically Tangentville.
A total random roundup.
I have to say, I want to thank the person who wrote that music.
I can look him up on
It really does a number on
YouTube.
Erich's soul.
It does. Every time I listen to it, I don't know. It does something. It makes me happy.
He makes him feel like he's part of something good.
Well, I just love that organ. Yeah, it's good.
Reminds me
pretty
of
decent music.
of The Simpsons when the old lady was doing the organ of Indigada Davida.
This is rock and or roll.
Dun, dun, dun.
All right, guys. So, should we get into this random roundup officially?
Yes, we should.
Yeah, we should.
It's time for the Random Roundup.
All right. Today we are rounding up some randomness, some tangents, and some geese and ducks. Eric, what do you have?
Hold on. I
today?
need to say, stick with us today. I know we said it's just a totally random episode, but we got some good topics, and they're
Yeah, we do.
interesting. We got some good things to talk about that I think you'll be interested in, so don't let us lose you by saying we're just winging it today. We kind of are, but it's just topic by topic. We got a lot of random stuff to talk about. We're excited.
Yeah, and stick around. Well, I hope if you're listening to this, you'll find that we are nice guys and we are funny. I hope.
Yeah, we're going to try to be more funny today. That's what our goal is.
I don't have that goal.
I don't have
My
that
goal is to be more funny. I like the humor.
Let's hear the jokes, man.
All right,
Okay.
so I don't have any real jokes.
Well, that's the problem.
I don't remember jokes. I just say funny things. They just come out of my mouth. And
Do you have a knock joke? What do you have?
Anything, Eric?
Anything?
It's okay.
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
But if you say you're going to be funny, I better be laughing today.
Okay, I'll try.
Okay.
You'll try or
Pressure's
you'll
on.
do.
I cannot
You
promise.
You
Do
can't promise. Do
or do not. There is no try. But
Oh.
my wife hates that. She's like,
Yeah.
there is a try.
There is.
There is a try. It matters if you tried.
'Cause sometimes trying is the best you can do.
But you still didn't do it.
Yeah.
Like us
I
trying.
think that's the
That
point.
breaks
You either
down.
did or you didn't.
Yeah.
But even if you tried, you still didn't.
like us trying at this podcast.
No,
we tried it and we conquered.
we are doing
We're
it. yo.
doing it.
We are
here.
doing it, but it's still a trial thing, ish.
All right, back to Eric.
It's not a trial thing. We're here. This is what, the 8th week. What are we
Sorry.
on?
This is technically our 9th episode if you count our initial reaction to the solo. But yeah, episode 8 officially.
Episode 8. This is the Last Jedi.
This is the last
This
Jedi.
is the one where Eric.
This is the controversial episode
This is the
where
controver-
either people will love it or hate it.
And Eric's gonna fade away and become one
That'd
with
be
the
cool.
Force.
Actually, Brett's going to fade away on a cruise.
I
Yeah.
always tell my wife
Next
if I
week.
die, I'm gonna haunt her. So I'll come back and fade away and haunt you guys.
Are you going to come make mouth noises on the podcast if you die?
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
will.
Where are those mouth noises coming from in this room?
Help.
Those sounds will haunt you forever.
Okay. All righty.
Okay, what do you got it for us, Eric? We're gonna start.
First
off
of all, I'd
with
like to introduce myself. I am Erich.
you. Oh yeah, and I'm Brett.
I'm Matt.
As the old saying is, you think, therefore I am. So we all think, and here we are.
So if I think about you, you exist. But
Yeah.
if I fail to think about you, you no longer exist.
Okay,
Yeah,
Let's do an
exactly.
experiment. Don't think about
Well-
it, Eric, Matt, and I will not think about Eric, and we'll see if he disappears. Okay, open your eyes. He's still here.
I'm still here.
I think probably Lacey's thinking about him. That's the thing.
and I'm
Oh,
thinking.
man.
As long as I'm thinking. As
You
long
said
as I
you think. You said you think, therefore I am.
Yeah.
So did you mean I think, therefore I am.
It doesn't matter.
Or
As
maybe-
long as we're thinking, we exist.
I didn't do it right. If I needed to close my eyes and then think he's not here and open up and be like, what? Who is this new guy here? Who is Eric? To like totally
It's
forget
a me,
about
a
him.
Mario.
Just like freak him out the whole day that no one knows who he is.
I'm like, oh, he's gone. What's this microphone? And I just start packing that up.
If everybody's in on it, I'd have to be in it too, Truman. Eric, what do you got, man?
All right, so this week there's been some controversial things. I mean, everything happens. I mean, everything. People. I don't know why people. I mean, I used to be like this. Just be like, I want to just start controversial things to rile people up. And after a while, it gets boring. I mean, it's kind of fun still, but I haven't done it in a long time. I really haven't. I haven't said anything that people upset. And this week, a certain person. I mean, if you have a TV show, at least if I had a TV show, I would want to, in everything I have power, to keep that show going, especially if you have a message. But this week, I don't even like to say her name. I don't know. I never liked this actress. But Roseanne decides to.
You don't even like to say her name.
I don't know. Something about her. She puts me off. But this week, she decides to tweet.
Did you like the show, though?
I never watched the show. It was kind of.
I thought you did.
It was more of a grungy show. It was like
Grungy?
not grungy, but the family was more. It was, as people say, it was more of a
as
blue
kids-
collar show, and I wasn't into blue collar
As
TV.
as kids, it was like one of those shows where my parents were like, no,
Yeah.
that's the show.
Yeah.
It was one of the shows that's on the do not watch list.
Yeah, I had that as well.
So I never.
And I've never watched it, so I don't know.
I mean, I always liked John Goodman, and
But it's also never personally appealed to me. I got to say that.
And I've seen an episode. I'm like, there's one because it's on syndication on one of those channels, and I did see an old episode, and they were talking about taxes and doing stuff, and I was like, that's funny because I relate to it. Just like doing taxes is a pain, but other than that, it's like not really my thing.
The show, wasn't a cookie cutter sitcom. I mean, a lot of people enjoyed it because it took this family, showed dysfunctional things, talked about taxes. You don't see just people say like, we need to do taxes today, but it appealed to people. So it got a revival, but now it got canceled because Roseanne had to tweet racist things, which is, I think, foolish. I mean, I think it's just crazy how people can I've done it when I used to do on Facebook.
You tweeted racist things?
No, not racist things, but
trash,
controversial things that people don't
I think
like.
Eric has officially been fired from the podcast.
He's Facebooking racist things. No,
I don't.
he would say all kinds of wild things when he was on Facebook.
Eric's never been racist
No,
that I know
don't-
of.
No, I have
He
not.
said some really outlandish things.
I have
but
said
no.
outlandish things, and most of the time I never met them. I just wanted attention. That's what they were. I just wanted.
True.
And that's
Sometimes
what
they
Twitter
did
is.
make me pretty mad. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, they did, and now I'm like, maybe I've gotten older, gotten wiser, but I think we need to be tweeting happy things, not racist things that get us fired. And now it takes a lot to put on a TV show. These people come back like, yeah, I have a job, and now one little thing, snap, boom, it's gone.
It's true.
And I'm surprised
I think it's a good lesson
it is.
to always try to be uplifting, like make the world a better place instead of going the opposite direction. I don't want to get too political on this show. Like we've always said, we don't want to go that direction.
No.
We want.
Yeah.
I
we
mean,
want
this
to be
is
appealing.
Hollywood. We're pop culture comment, and we need to talk about pop
Yeah, no,
culture.
that's-
This is something that's
I hear you. I'm not
important.
saying don't talk about this.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to warn myself
isn't
to
a
not,
heavy
to not go political
show.
on this. But yeah, I think it goes to show, if you've got a voice in this world, use it for good. Make people uplift people instead. If that makes sense.
I mean, do you feel though? It could be okay to. I think it's okay to write something controversial that can get people to think, but just to throw up something.
starting a dialogue is completely different
Yeah.
story than just being.
Throwing out racial insults, or it was a weird tweet or whatever that's not engaging anyone in any type of thought or she's just saying how much she dislikes someone in a very rude way.
Yeah.
I mean, what happened to Michael Richards, guy who played Kramer?
Yeah,
He
similar
tried to
thing.
get funny, and he's like, oh. And I mean, that's the problem. With comedy, too many people will throw out. They'll go the easy route and like, oh, I'm just going to make fun
He
of
wasn't being funny. He was getting heckled, I think. So he
it.
got out of
So
control.
it got him upset.
Yeah.
And
You gotta, man, comedians and hecklers and how to deal
Then
with
Jerry
hecklers.
Seinfeld, I think, had him on his. Did he have him on the comedian show or just got together with him? I think
On the comedians with what's it? Comedians in
Driving-
cars. What's it called?
getting
again?
coffee.
Getting coffee or whatever.
Yeah.
I remember watching an episode on Crackle. I don't know if it's still on or whatever, but he did have Michael Richards play a character because before something started or after it started, I can't remember in the episode. He has Michael Richards playing a character. It's just kind of like a weird little funny thing that they do. Like he's supposed to be like the Crackle CEO or something like that, or something weird like that.
But Michael Richards, I mean, I haven't seen anything from him since that incident.
Yeah.
And
If you want some good Michael Richards, go watch UHF.
Oh yeah,
that's true.
You guys have both seen
Oh,
UHF, yeah?
UHF is a classic.
I am totally inspired by his mop thing.
Yeah.
These floors are as dirty.
Yeah.
And then they and when I get down,
You got to get down with a toothbrush and
And
scrub.
if that doesn't work, you got to run to a window, which is from something, right? It's from a movie, I think.
I think from
probably because everything. I mean, it's a Weird Al movie, so everything's done is a parody of something.
Yeah, it's true.
what's that?
They got the Motab playing, the Mormon Tabernacle Choir singing
Yeah,
like
in the background doing
the Battle Hymn of the Republic.
Yeah,
which is actually I was surprised that I remember seeing the credits and it's like Mormon Tabernacle Choir. I'm like, oh wow,
That's funny. Did you guys enjoy that movie then?
yeah,
UHF.
yeah, UHF
Oh, yeah.
is funny.
It changed my life. I think.
I
No, and I'm not in a weird way. It's like this is the movie that fits, especially when you watch it when you're younger.
yeah. Well, my mom watched it and she liked it.
Oh wow,
I never know always with my mom what she's gonna like or what she's not, but she liked UHF.
I showed it to Holly. I think I showed it to Holly. No, I showed her Strange Brew. I think she
Strange
would
Brew.
have the same reaction to both of those
Strange
movies.
Brew is
That's a
classic.
good one.
Yeah.
But UHF is like, it's just a special movie because it's different from everything else. And it actually has some really brilliant comedy in it, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Gandhi 2. Like a Gandhi sequel. It's so
Steak,
great.
medium rare.
Yeah, out of a steak.
No
medium
more
rare.
passive resistance.
This guy knows how to party. It's just like the antithesis of Gandhi is Gandhi 2. It's just pretty funny, you know. It's just like outlandish, but it's genius at the same time.
Oh yeah,
Weird
No,
Al
it's-
truly is a genius.
Yeah.
Oh
he
yeah,
is.
very very talented guy on so many levels.
I think there's a group of people in this world that don't take him seriously, but they should.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they should. I mean, his music is on the top Billboard. He finally got on there with his last album.
He should be inducted to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he should.
He should get something.
But UHF was
Or-
great. Michael Richards, I guess, is how we got on this tangent.
Yeah.
But he plays a funny guy. in that
Threw
movie.
me out like a box of moldy tangerines.
Or my favorite is, "Hey George, how you doing? You don't want to know. Why'd I ask?
Why-
Why'd I ask? I love that."
It is.
Or he's like, "Not unless you got $75,000 on you." And Michael Richards looks in his wallet, like actually looks to see if he has $75,000. There's just some great moments in that movie. It's so 80s.
It is.
Oh yeah.
It's as 80s as you get, but I love it. Today we're going to learn how to make plutonium from common household items.
The Wheel of Fish. Stupid! You're so stupid! You want to know what's in the box? Nothing!
Nothing.
Absolutely nothing!
Man, if you guys
Oh,
have
man,
not
I'm-
seen UHF,
Go and
I
watch
think all
that.
three of us can
Yeah.
highly recommend it. It's not necessarily a piece of, I don't know, it's not a piece of cinema to be enjoyed like some other things, but it is a comedy that
It
I
is
think
a
is
good comedy.
is worth your time to
It's
watch.
good.
It's funny.
It's
I think.
And if you could
it's
be
a classic,
if you
to
could
me.
be just a little lighthearted, it will, you'll be able to enjoy it, I think.
And there's some Weird Al songs in it. He's like dreaming and he's thinking about the Beverly Hillbillies.
The Beverly Hillbillies song came from that, and the UHF song. I remember I had that album.
UHF is an original composition, the song UHF, and then
It's one of those few originals.
Beverly Hillbillies is a parody of a what's the name of the group? Dire Straits song.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've actually heard. I mean, it's actually funny when I hear on the radio original song that Weird Al made a parody of, and I'm like, oh, I know this song because of Weird Al's parody.
Right.
And
I'm the same way.
That's what artists love, right? When they're like,
Yeah.
oh, the Weird Al song is more popular than my
Yeah.
the original song.
Sorry,
Like,
Coolio. What is that?
Amish
Paradise
Paradise
was a better.
Yeah,
is a
Oh,
better
it's so
song.
better.
It's hilarious.
It's so good.
It's one of the funniest songs he's done, I think.
That's one of the best parodies.
And
the
one
music
thing,
video is great too.
the interesting thing is, he didn't technically get permission from Coolio. He doesn't need to get permission, but
He
he
says
likes.
he did,
Oh,
I
he-
think.
he-
But
but
Coolio
there was-
says he didn't.
There was
there's
miscommunication.
Probably some miscommunication there because Weird Al, when he does an official parody, he always gets permission. That's one of his rules. That's what he's a classy guy.
Yeah,
And he says he
Yeah.
never parodies a song he doesn't personally like, which is interesting.
That's good.
He said that before.
I think he probably likes all types of music.
I heard his concerts are phenomenal. I mean, he's a nice guy. And anytime I've heard people go to his concerts or meet him,
I did see him. I've
You
seen
did?
him. Yeah.
oh, how
And
was it?
Yeah. Oh, he's all over the place. It's a good show. He entertains.
He's got energy levels.
Yeah.
Oh,
he could
yeah.
put on a show. I would love to see him live. That'd be a lot of fun, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's good. My parents were there with me too.
Oh, wow.
And they were like, the looks on their faces sometimes when he's doing some of those funnier things was pretty funny.
That's great. That's amusing in and of itself.
that is.
But yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. If he comes around, I hope to be there sometime.
I always wanted to go to Neil Diamond concert, but now he's stopped doing his tours. So
Sweet Caroline.
Bum,
Bum,
bum.
bum.
I don't know why. Somehow I got liking.
Or
Neil
there's
Diamond. It's weird.
Holly Holy.
Holy,
Oh, yeah.
holy.
I've heard it, but I don't.
You got to
doesn't
play
come
it
to
for
mind.
Holly, yo.
The song for some reason came popular in the movie with the teacher who became a fighter.
The teacher
Oh,
became
the
a
big. Or
Here Comes the
Here
Boom.
Comes the
Yeah, Here
Boom.
Comes the Boom. For some reason, that was like the theme song.
But you know what's a better movie that has the same storyline basically is Nacho Libre.
Nacho Libre is fun. I actually liked Here Comes the Boom. I thought
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
I mean,
Kevin James.
Kevin
is
James
fun.
has a
Kevin
certain
James.
flavor, and you have
Yeah.
to be able to accept that.
I like
that
his
flavor,
physical. He has physical humor with
He
him,
does.
and I do appreciate that.
He's got his own brand of humor,
Yeah, he does.
and that's nice to see. I don't think he's a copycat.
Mall Cop 1 and 2.
Yeah,
Paul
there's
Blart.
there's
Paul
Kevin James that I don't really bother with, but
Yeah.
I thought Here Comes the Boom was just a fun movie. It didn't make a lot of sense at the end. They're like, we're raising money for these high school kids, but somehow we can fly them all out to Vegas,
Just-
and they
That's how all
can.
movies are.
Makes no
and
sense.
Henry Winkler's in it. He's
yeah,
the music
Henry
teacher.
Winkler, Yeah.
Oh man, that guy's great,
Reminds
and
me
he's
of-
like a good guy. And
Reminds
it's
me
like-
of School of Rock as well. Just the teacher trying to help the students. I mean, at first he
School of Rock
Yeah, have you seen School of Rock?
a long time ago. Yeah,
with Jack
It's been a
Black.
while. I like his diagram he puts on the board of how all the bands are related and everything. I was like, oh man, I've
Jack
thought like that a little bit when I was in my younger years.
Last thoughts on Roseanne?
Okay.
Are you good?
No, I just want to say don't tweet things that are going to get you fired. I mean, be smart about your tweeting and your social media.
I think
People
Twitter-
need to. I think people, I mean, it's too bad. I mean, so much bullying. I don't get why people, I mean, I'm a person who doesn't get offended by certain people post stuff. I just scroll through. But some people really do, and they've taken their lives because of it, and which is horrible. And I think people just need to be smart and just be like, okay, is this going to hurt somebody? I need to be a little smarter. I mean, even I do. I haven't been on Facebook in a long time, but I
think
don't know. Hopefully,
If
I've
you have
changed.
to ask the question, is this going to hurt somebody? Then you should not be posting what
No.
you're posting. You should be asking the question,
Why do you want to hurt? Why are you posting something? Yeah.
why not instead, like, what could I post that's going to give someone a laugh today, or that's going to be
Yeah.
uplifting, or it's going to be fun?
And that's what we try and do on our Instagram. We always try and post something that's funny, like nerdy, and I posted these memes about like science.
You check out our
I forgot the
Instagram.
one about how often something about the
Check
periodic
these
table. I forgot it was. It was pretty funny. I liked it. I like the periodic table.
Yeah,
All
so-
right, we've given Roseanne enough.
Yeah,
So-
well, we don't need to give
She
her.
doesn't
I just
deserve
So
much more
Hollywood,
time.
don't just be nice, Hollywood.
just people on Twitter.
We like your medium, but don't ruin it for us. Just be smart actors and actresses.
Well, I wasn't watching your show anyway.
Most of
I
them have
did
a
it,
better
but-
head on their shoulders, I think, than that. But not all of
Yeah.
them. But we'll move on from that.
Let's move on. What do you have, Matt, today?
So, first thing on my list of topics I wanted to talk about today is a Harry Potter related topic.
Harry
So,
Potter.
I
Harry
don't know.
Potter.
Are you guys? Have you read the books?
Hello, I'm Harry Potter.
Okay, this is what I read:
I've read the book.
4, 5, 6, and 7, but I
Brett.
didn't read
You're
1,
like
2, and
Chelsea,
3.
my wife, Chelsea.
I read the books twice.
Just read the books, man.
I just like how they always like, I'm Harry Potter.
I'll
Is
get,
that an
I'll get
English
around
thing?
to it.
Where they always say the last name.
Harry
They-
Potter. Yeah.
You know, is
Potter.
It's
No,
always just like, I'm Harry Potter. And like, we know your last name. Why do you need to keep on repeating it?
Well,
Just flows, man.
he
It
doesn't
does.
like. No, because you need to know the character's name. So in the movie, he's got to say his full name at some point.
I have a full funny routine about Harry Potter and the Weasley brothers.
You have a routine.
Yeah, just like,
You're-
hello, Harry Potter. We went to America and we got guns. And then in America, they don't use magic. They
But
just
they
have
do.
guns. And they
Oh
just,
boy.
it's kind of
Okay,
crazy.
okay.
Those muggles and their guns.
Okay.
I mean, I don't even know. Actually, I got kind of that from how it should have ended was when Snape just shoots.
You should have thought before you said that. Is this
Voldemort.
gonna hurt someone?
Yeah. Anyway, so every couple years or so, I think I read these books. So I'm rereading. Well, I'm listening to them, the audiobooks, which are a lot of fun. The narrator's
They
great.
are.
I have access to those audiobooks. I need to listen.
It's a
to
lot
the
of fun.
first
No,
three.
they are. The guy does good voices.
So I just finished the third one, and I had a question this time around, which I don't know why I've never asked this before, but in the second book, we find out in the first book that Hagrid was expelled in his second year. I think it was his second year at Hogwarts. And then we don't really, she doesn't say anything else about it until the second book, and it becomes a big part of the plot. And if you haven't read this, I guess spoilers, but you should have read Harry Potter by now, you fools.
We're seeing the movies, so
Yeah.
it's all.
Yeah, I guess the movies too. But yeah, it's a big part of the plot in the second book that Hagrid got expelled and why he got expelled. But at the end of the book, he's justified that it wasn't him that did this thing, and he was wrongly expelled from school. So my question is, why did he not get his wand back? And why did he not get some sort of compensation from the Ministry of Magic? Why did this not happen? Why did he not get compensated for his entire life of being expelled from Hogwarts, had his wand broken and hidden in a pink umbrella? Why is this a thing?
It's not in the movie, so I don't know because I didn't read the first and second book. No, but
Well,
he does-
it's
I
not
don't
explained in
know
the
if-
book. That's the thing. It's not explained in the book.
it's
They never talk. They never address that. They just go to the third movie and suddenly he's the Care of Magical Creatures teacher, which is fine. Now maybe that's
I don't know
that's
if
his
the-
compensation.
I don't
That's
know
really
if they
stupid.
ever
It's
tell
an-
the ministry. I mean, I think you're right. Dumbledore would, but maybe they still keep it under the table. They're like,
no, because they know.
It's like
They know now what.
oh
it was.
yeah, because he got sent to Azkaban
Azkaban,
in the second, and that's why he got released because they proved.
yeah,
that
they proved
he-
it wasn't him.
It wasn't. You're right. Okay.
So I'm wondering, why? What on earth? Like, if you get wrongly accused for something and you go to Azkaban, which, by the way, is like a really unethical prison in my mind. Like, that's a messed up place. But
Yeah, you're right. She does not ever address that issue.
I
Why-
guess my question to the audience
Maybe
is
it all has to do with like politics that she hasn't explained yet.
my question to the audience is: do you know if J.K. Rowling has said something about that, or do you have any idea why this might be? And I would love to know.
and those who are ambitious, you can just reach out to JK for us and find out.
Oh, she's probably listening, so let's just ask her directly.
She'll probably tweet us after.
Jill, is that what? No, she goes by Joe, I think. Joe, why did Hagrid not get compensated after they discovered it was not him that set the monster free? We'll be waiting to hear from you on Twitter. Follow us at Geek Nerd Tangent.
You can get some,
I know
Yeah.
she's already following us, but you can follow us too if you'd like to.
and I think George Lucas listens too. And
Oh, Lucas is all over this podcast. Yeah, I think
after we did that solo review, he's like,
I think
"Oh,
he's
man."
about to make a new saga about this episode.
What do you guys think if George Lucas shaved?
Well, he only shaves for a little bit, and then you're like, "Whoa!"
You
George
know,
Lucas
he
has a
always
beard.
has that beard.
And then he grows it
always,
back,
He always has.
And
the
you're like,
beard.
"Okay, the
I mean,
world
it's like
is right
Alex.
now."
It's like when Alex Trebek got rid of his mustache. That was nuts. I was like, whoa, what did Alex Trebek do? Why did he get rid of the stash? I mean, you didn't want to be the Mario no more?
The Mario no more.
He's not a Mario.
Yeah, everybody
just
wants
like
to be the Mario.
He's like the classic 80s millionaire look. That's what he is.
Who?
anyway.
George or Alex?
Alex.
Oh, okay.
Like, if you ever saw the butter,
George.
did you ever see the Buttercream Gang?
Yeah.
Yeah, Brett.
I think I have it on DVD
Is-
somewhere.
is
I
he-
haven't watched.
Is he in the movie?
I watched
No,
it with you
he's
guys.
not in the
on-
movie. I just think of the guy in that movie that's like the 80s millionaire and he like the real estate agent.
Oh.
I know like the Buttercream Gang is a super obscure reference for most people probably.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
So I'm going to move on with it. Brett, what do you got, man?
Okay.
Did we ever
so-
just finish our thing with? We don't know the answer
We
to
don't-
why Hagrid.
No, we don't know the answer because
We
it's
don't.
not addressed in
It's
the
not
books.
addressed. Okay.
He gets a teaching post, but that's all he gets.
Yeah, he does.
And we don't know
Okay.
if that's because of that or if it's just because what's his name decided to retire to spend more time with his remaining
And
limbs.
Dumbledore's
That's-
a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, let's give Hagrid a chance at something.
Well, do you think that J.K. will ever return to J.K.? Like that's the way we are. We sometimes call her Jack just for short, J.K. because we're so tight with her. Do you think she'll return to
writing
the
books?
Writing books and with continue that that world and for general audiences, not like stuff that's just for like crazy Harry Potter fans or for adult Harry Potter fans, but like get back into that type of story writing. Because what does she write now? I'm
she's
not
doing the
sure.
movies.
Yeah, she does movies right now.
oh, yeah, I
She's just
guess-
writing screenplays.
Oh, yeah, that's
and-
what she's just been. I guess that's what
So,
she's doing. The
I would like a
Mythical
book.
Beasts series.
I would love the book. I love the books. I like her. I like the descriptions
Yeah,
of
she's
the
fun.
magical world.
She's a fun writer.
And
I am interested to see where these movies go. She's got 5 planned. We've got one
they
down.
do.
The first
Oh,
one was
man.
interesting. It wasn't, I don't think, the best movie, but it was fun. And I think it had to do a lot. It had to set up a time period. It had to set up characters. It had to set up an entire country's magical culture.
yeah,
Had a lot to do. So I'm excited now that
only
we've
seen
got
the-
some of that out of the way.
I like seeing America in the magic world. You don't hear much. You're like, what would it? What?
I've seen only half of it. It's one of those movies that I started watching at someone else's house, and then I had to go. But like, I liked how the American side of magic has its own politics, has its own lingo, where they don't even use the word Muggle. They say non-mage,
No Madge.
or
yeah.
no
I
Madge
like
or whatever. And
Muggles though. I think
Which
they,
some people like, some people don't. But
Maybe-
Muggle is a very
yeah, it's a British word.
Well, it's a British word for
is.
sure.
It's like Hobbit.
no, but
you
it
know,
but it
it's-
fits it like Hobbit.
No, it was a very British.
That is a very British sounding word, but
Yeah.
but it harkens to things that are in real life. There are Americanisms and Britishisms where
Yeah.
where we use certain words. Just the fact that we call gasoline and they call it petrol,
Yeah.
things like that.
or guzzling.
Guzzling.
Sorry. Anyway.
High gas prices. It's summer.
and we don't have tea time. Which is interesting because they always like everything. Everything I read British always has like tea will cure everything. There's an issue. Let's drink some tea. And I find that interesting. I don't
know if it's a cure.
I don't know.
It's a cultural thing to do.
It is.
It's just a cultural thing. They have.
Do they take time to just be like, hey, let's have tea time? Like
it's like an afternoon thing or something like that, or
like
it's a midday thing.
Those guys who take the naps during the day, not a quinceañera.
Siesta?
Yeah, siesta.
Those guys. It's only guys.
No, South Americans.
Killing me.
Sorry, I'm not trying to. I don't know my cultures as well as I should. I'm trying to be not.
We went to Mexico.
I did.
He came back with sombrero. But
I did not have a siesta, though. I did have siesta.
I'm sure you had some siestas. You're on a cruise, man. That's all you do.
No, I had siesta.
You had some food and you had a siesta.
You went swimming in the ocean.
Brett, what do you got?
Okay, so I've been thinking about actually this is a thought that I've had, and it's just kind of crazy. I've been thinking about superhero archetypes, like superhero team archetypes, and the dynamics between all the different characters and how the team works together and what makes an interesting story. And I just think back to Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, who I think has the perfect archetype that you can base in the individual character archetypes and create like an interesting team no matter what you do. And it kind of is, the archetype is that you have your mentor character, which I like to call the professor sometimes, because the X-Men kind of have this kind of thing too going on. And that's Splinter. So they have the mentor character. Then you get into the other characters. You have Leonardo, who's the leader / Boy Scout. Then you get into Donatello, who's the scientist or the tech specialist. Then you have Raphael, who is the rebel, who always stands in contradiction to the leader, which is but they have the same goals, but they disagree on all methods to get to that goal. You know, they have the same goal, but they disagree on the way to get there. And then you have Michelangelo, comic relief, the clown, and then you have other supporting characters. But I feel like when you're putting together superhero teams, I was just thinking about this, that like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, as weird as it is, has like this perfect archetype that you can kind of apply to look at other superhero teams and see how they fit into it. And I think the ones that have all of those things tend to have like this like well-rounded type of thing. And then you can play off those characters or whatever, but even the Avengers kind of have something kind of like that, you know, you kind of, and sometimes you can blend stuff, but I was just thinking about team archetypes and how that even implies into non-superhero things. I was just I was just thinking about that.
Who's the leader on our team? Who's the rebel? Who's the science
in our
guy?
superhero team? Well,
There's
J.K. Rowling is our mentor, and
or George Lucas.
We are lucky enough to have a few mentors.
Yeah.
J.K. Rowling and George Lucas are two of them.
Yeah,
we speak to them. We have a good meeting with them once a week or so.
Once a week. Yeah, and George flies me out to California every week just to go sit on the ranch and eat some steak.
Talk
turtles about Jar Jar Binks.
Also, the turtles have turtle power. I mean, that's another thing
that's part of the archetype.
You know, I mean, does yelling out turtle power or something, does it help? I mean, the Tick, if you ever watched the cartoon The Tick, he wanted a catchphrase, and the only thing he came up with was spoon. And yeah, he's like, spoon. And I don't know if yelling out something helps fighting better.
It's to strike fear in the enemies who know you're coming. Isn't that his idea?
The Avengers
like
have a
catchphrase?
thing of Avengers assemble. I mean, does it help? I mean, does it help the archetype?
Then they know to assemble.
And
they're like, oh, let's get together. We can assemble now.
We can get together. We got work to do.
You know, Transformers has let's roll out.
I think it's interesting what you said, that you can kind of put the turtles in any situation and you'll still get that really fun dynamic between them. You know, like you could stick them in any time period, which they've done.
They've done all
you
kinds
could stick
of
them in
versions.
another dimension. You could stick them in, different I guess, classes.
Make Donatello into a robot. It still all is there. It's like
Yeah.
those are the classic archetypes of the Ninja Turtles, and I think of like how that just works so well for the Ninja Turtles.
No, that's interesting though. With the
Does.
Ninja Turtles, they were all the same. They didn't have any personalities. It wasn't until the cartoon that gave them the personalities. Because you look at an old cartoon, they didn't have color. You couldn't distinguish
The old comics.
who was who. It was all they all looked the same. It wasn't really until the cartoon that gave them the personalities they have. And then everyone else, we based all the Ninja Turtles off of that. And then I think the comics adapted a little bit more to the cartoon as well.
That the movie, not the latest movies, but the movie from the late 80s, early 90s. What year did that come out? I don't know.
1990.
I think that movie is just a fun movie. I like it.
No, it still is a good
it's
movie.
classic.
I still remember being at the library as kids with my mom. We were going to check it out, and we were really excited to watch the Ninja Turtles movie. But then some lady at the library talked to my mom and was like, "Oh, you don't want your kids watching that movie. It's all blood and guts." They're like, I'm like, what?
Blood and guts.
Like, I don't think there's any
Wow.
blood in it. But it's like, this isn't a Quentin Tarantino film. This is.
I mean, that's actually interesting because the Ninja Turtles were actually a satire, spoof to Daredevil. Where the comics were coming a little more violent, and so they wanted to make something more gritty, and that's where the Ninja Turtles came about. Was kind of they were supposed to be a violent, more
it's a
comic.
parody on dark comics.
It's very mild violence,
But
though.
no, I mean the movie is.
But if
compared
that
to-
original comic, because I've read that original comic. It's been a while. I found it online. It was available at one time freely online. I don't know what it is now, but and it's a black and white comic. It wasn't color. Now there's probably colorized versions, but it goes through this dark story. But it's silly, but not trying. Like the characters aren't trying to be silly themselves, like some of the cartoon stuff. And it's really interesting. Very, very different origin than what you think when you go to that cartoon, that original.
I love that
80s
original
cartoon.
cartoon.
And which that's
that was my childhood right
yeah,
there.
that defines all of us. We're all within that age where everybody was watching that. That was like
That was a big deal.
a big cartoon. Like it's like Ninja Turtles everywhere. Everybody's Ninja Turtles for Halloween.
Oh, I was a
Oh,
ninja.
man.
I was Michelangelo in the first grade. My mom made the costume. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Did you guys ever watch Ghost Rider?
Ghost Rider. Word.
Not writer, but writer.
Writer. He's a
Writer.
ghost, and he writes to
Excellent.
us. Ghost Rider.
Yeah. No. I watched that with the Palmers, and I watched that at home. Yeah, I was watching that.
It's a great show. I've got the first season on DVD. It's great.
That show has a good dynamic. You can tell who's the leader.
Yeah.
Jamal. Was it Jamal or Alex?
I thought you could tell.
Oh, okay. I think it's Alex. I'm gonna guess it's
I don't-
Alex.
I don't remember, but yeah, but there were kids. There was like the kid who was like the leader, the kid who was there. There's that different,
Yeah, the dynamic team.
the dynamic
It
team.
was
that they
it was
were.
a fun show. I
Yeah, it
thought that
was.
way. As a kid, I was enthralled with that show, and I was always so upset that I had to wait another week to find out what happened.
Did you get yourself a composition notebook and a
I
pen on
always
the
wanted
Oh,
lanyard?
yeah.
one, but I don't think I got it.
My brothers and sisters, we did pens, and we were like, we're cool. We have the pens.
That show just would not work today. I don't think.
I don't
You
think
know,
so.
it's
either.
an '80s special.
And
or
kids
90s, I
don't read
guess.
these days, and don't.
Yeah, it was all about writing.
Kids these days don't read books.
Share your feelings through writing. If you can't talk, write to somebody. That was their message, really.
Well, and I thought it was interesting when they would type on the computer, and then he would type in a
It
different
was so
font.
slow. watching it as a kid, you don't notice because you're just learning to read more. I guess not learning to read, but you're not as accomplished of a reader, hopefully, as you are in adulthood. And watching it as an adult, it's like,
it's nostalgia. As a kids, we latched on to
it just reeks of nostalgia.
I mean, it took on some hard topics, too. It took on homelessness. It took on drugs. It took on
It did.
gangs. It took on family dynamics. I mean, there was one episode where the there was a family living upstairs above the other kids. And
Yeah.
there was a feud
It
between the
was
families.
Lenny with her dad.
Yeah, Lenny with her dad,
And then Alex and Gabby with their parents downstairs in the grocery store.
It took on a lot of interest. I mean, actually, that was the very first show I learned about what holiday meant, because they went to England for some reason. And there was this song about going on holiday. I'm like, what does that mean? Like, they're on a holiday? What's a holiday? And then I learned it's just going on vacation. I thought it was a holiday actually happening. So TV taught me stuff
Yeah, and
like
you
holiday.
understand that there are differences in British and American English, like non-maj and muggle.
Brett, last thoughts on superhero archetypes?
I just like the Ninja Turtles, and something that I've been thinking about, and I'm gonna think about that more, and I'll try to apply it to other characters and other shows and see if they fit that dynamic. I particularly like the leader character and the rebel character, like Leonardo and Raphael, how they're brothers and they actually do care about each other, but they will
clash.
They will totally clash, and I think that dynamic can be interesting, and I think that can be applied to like the X-Men. If you had Cyclops and Wolverine in that type of situation, it helps bring those characters, makes both those characters more interesting.
Yeah, that's one thing I liked about there was a Ninja Turtle CGI movie that people look over. I think I like it, but the only really awesome scene is when Raphael and Leonardo fight each other.
Yeah, that was the only good scene, because that movie does not make sense.
No,
at all.
it doesn't. The villains, I don't know where they got the idea for those villains, but
well, and then they're like fighting all these monsters, and there's this monster that Raphael fights earlier, who apparently isn't one of those monsters. And then you're like, what's going on? I don't know. But Patrick Stewart does the voice of the villain.
He does. Which
The question is, did you guys watch Ninja Turtles growing up? Did you watch Ghost Rider or any of these nostalgic 90s, 80s shows? We'd love to hear from you about your thoughts on them.
Yeah.
Some things that you experienced as children, or I guess adults, if you were an adult at that time.
Leave us a voicemail.
Voicemail, anything. Tweet us.
Tell us about your
Email
favorite
us. Let us know.
nostalgic cartoon, like Captain Planet.
I don't
He's
think
a
that's
hero.
anyone's favorite. Just kidding.
He takes pollution to ground zero.
All right, I've got a couple of books I want to review just briefly. So I've been reading the Star Wars books that are the Star Wars canon now. So I used to read some of the old ones, and I was a little upset because I felt like George Lucas never really took those books seriously.
No, he didn't.
And for those of you who
all
who
the
maybe
books were
aren't
approved by him, though.
up to speed, well, all approved in that the licensing department was all in charge of it, and he didn't touch it.
Yeah, he could come in and destroy that if he wanted to make a movie about something.
That George Lucas made the movies, and they had a whole bunch of spin-off novels that were supposed to be all part of the same timeline. George Lucas just let that go, because let that happening because it's part of the revenue stream of how Star Wars makes money, is through merchandising and licensing. And people love Star Wars. He would borrow stuff from it every once in a while, like Coruscant. That name he happened to get from one of the books, but
oh really?
But that's from the Thrawn trilogy.
Oh, okay.
Which was a really good trilogy, by the way.
Yeah, I heard
that was the introduction to which was Star Wars renaissance in the early 90s, because there was no more Star Wars at that time. So
people were most up in arms when these old books got thrown out, and they're legends now. They're not official canon.
When Disney purchased it, they restructured all of that and said that's legends, and we're going to try, and Disney's trying to put everything into some sort of canon, some sort of timeline that all is supposed to fit together, which at some point will break down and they'll start over again because that's just the way it works. When you hire a J.J. Abrams to do your movie, he's not gonna say, "Oh, I can't do this because this was in this book" or whatever. They're gonna give him a little more freedom. So there's gonna be discrepancies and different things.
And that kind of brings me to this. Well, let me review this other one first, because it's just.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just gonna toss it out because it's absolutely awful. It's called Star Wars: The Legends of Luke Skywalker. The premise of it is there's a few.
Is this Legends or is this?
No, it's canon.
Oh, it's a canon
It's
book.
current
It's called
canon.
The Legends of Luke Skywalker.
The Legends.
And what it is just some people on a starship, and they all have some story of Luke Skywalker that they've heard either through the grapevine or from personal experience. And I just have to say that there's a couple of the stories that are like, okay, that's really interesting because it's furthering the lore of the Force, and it's, you see Luke doing some things, like they're in a space, they call it a space slug for short, for like, I guess the more common term, like in Empire Strikes Back when they get stuck in the
So the starship
asteroid.
is stuck in.
No. This is one of the stories.
Oh, okay.
And Luke and someone else that's with Luke get stuck inside of one of these things, and they have to find their way out. And anyway, it's an interesting story. There's another one when he goes to a planet, and it's all about like the tide.
So this is an anthology of stories, basically.
Yeah, it's
but
an anthology of
written in a
stories.
way
Some of them are more legend, and some seem like they're more true. It's just hard to say.
So the premise actually sounds good.
It's an interesting premise, but I have never groaned out loud so often or rolled my eyes so many times.
Why?
There's so much nonsense fan service in this book. Like, there's a whole, at least a couple paragraphs about going to Tashi Station to pick up some power converters and how that's such a legend of what Luke used to do.
Why
And
is
it's like,
that-
no, he just wanted to go that day with his friends to pick up some power converters.
Why would people in the galaxy even know that he went to Tashi
Exactly,
Station?
yeah.
Tashi
It's not
Station on Tatooine. Who knows where?
It sounds like that's a daily chore. You need the power converters because they're out in the middle of nowhere. You need
he wanted
power.
he was going to hang out with his friends. That's what he was doing. But why would anyone know that?
Yeah.
Like, he leaves Tatooine and never talks about Tashi Station again, I'm pretty
Yeah,
sure.
you're right.
Like, why would and Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru are
dead.
they're
Yeah.
burned.
Yeah.
So why he has no
So you're right.
reason
Why
to go
would
back
like,
to
by the
Tatooine.
time? Let me tell you about the time I picked up power converters.
Yeah, it's like
you're
this person in a cantina, and Luke's kind of listening in mysteriously, like asking questions. They don't realize it's Luke, and she's telling this outlandish tale about pretty much the entire first three movies, but from a different point of view. Like, Luke wasn't really like that, and the rebellion wasn't really like this, and it's just really stupid.
Then it's like, how do people like? Do they have like? How do people know all the history of what happened in the movies within universe? Like,
Yeah.
is this on TV? I'm
Right.
watching. Well, I went on the internet and got my news, but all that's fake news.
I think that's the problem with Star Wars is us about the whole fan service, the nostalgic. Can't we just leave
Yeah,
the
just-
things alone? Like, these things happen. Why do we need
They're
always
nostalgic
go back?
by themselves. You don't have to
Yeah.
call back to them. We already care about those things. But this
this
book
book
was
doesn't
just
drive-
so full of that nonsense all the time. Like that power converters thing, that was one small example. It was one of the ones I groaned most out loud about because it was just so unrealistic. But these things are all over this book, and it's super cheesy. There's a couple stories in there that I would say, okay, it's worth your time to read about these because it's interesting, furthering the lore of the Force and seeing Luke and his journey to being who he is, and seeking out Jedi artifacts and Jedi knowledge of the Force. After the Return of the Jedi, between that and the Last Jedi, so it goes into some of that, but I highly do not recommend this book. I think it's one of the worst books I've ever spent time reading. It is absolutely dull, and it gives you.
Is this more of a young reader thing? Or
It's a younger reader book, I think, but that doesn't mean it has to be garbage.
Oh yeah.
right.
No, there's a lot of
juvenile fiction can be really good. Some of it's my favorite,
Especially
stuff,
when they're
but
trying to fit this all into Star Wars.
it's just so cheesy.
Like
And for some
canon.
reason, everyone on this starship has a story about Luke Skywalker to tell. Like, oh, I heard this from this little insect thing. That's what it is this little insect was like, I controlled the whole thing. I was the one that like got Luke through the Rancor by like telling him what to do. I was the Force, like
the insect was saying.
yeah,
he was
he's
the
like
Force.
making
This
Luke
is
to be this idiot where he's like controlling the whole thing.
And were
in
people
the Jabba's
believing-
palace thing?
Were people believing this inside?
I don't know, man. It was just this book was awful.
Sounds awful.
Don't even bother reading it unless you are like me and you want to just know everything
So
about Star Wars.
you've
but
been reading a lot of these newer books because I've read a lot of the older stuff.
I have access to the audiobooks is why for the most part I read these because I have a commute.
You did, what was the book? It was it was like written in first person Luke book. What was that called? Do you remember? Did you read that one?
Oh yeah. It was so the Weapon of the Jedi or something like that. Maybe.
No, it was. I don't know. I'm remembering this book, and the reason why I'm remembering it, I didn't read it, but it had bad reviews, and
It wasn't my favorite.
and I just remember it's like Luke, like right after A New Hope or something like that.
Exactly. Yep.
And
I think it's a Weapon of a Jedi
Weapon of the Jedi, is that
because
what
he
it
gets
is?
a lightsaber in it.
Well, he already
He gets a yellow lightsaber.
Oh, he gets another lightsaber because
He just
he has
found one?
He has his.
I'm like, oh,
Yeah, it's
another
part of the
lightsaber.
plot, but it never says what happens with it. I don't think
Oh,
it
interesting.
just happens.
But no, I'm just someone
Gotta
saying.
love that when things just happen.
I just remember someone saying in that book, there's like a character that he knows that her parents got killed because her dad wrote a song about Darth Vader or something like that,
song
and it's
about
the whole
Darth
idea sounds really dumb. Just like and
Yeah,
like
it does.
like those types of things, like where they're trying to, I don't know what they're trying to do because Darth Vader's like, in my mind, a boogeyman. He's not a political figure. No
Yeah.
one knows who he is. If you have the chance to run into Darth Vader, that's probably because you're going to die.
And he's not going to care that someone wrote a song about him.
Yeah, he's
He's not
interested
going to be
in other
like,
things.
yo, my name is Darth, and I'm
it's
here to
not like-
say. I'm like, he's not going to be like, who wrote this song? Let's go get him.
Who did this? Kanye, was that you?
He doesn't go deal. He doesn't go deal with like the politics. He just goes
There's a
in
song about you, Darth.
and gets
Go
the
get
thing
that.
done. He's
Yeah.
he's the
Rogue.
henchman.
He's Rogue One. The end of Rogue One,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
That's what he is. But anyway, I don't recommend that book. It is awful. If you want to know about Star Wars and all the lore and everything, sure, read it. Just be prepared to groan out loud, roll your eyes, and just pray that the book ends soon. The end. I don't usually negatively review things like that, but it was honestly bad. The other thing I want to say really quick is I just finished The Last Jedi novelization, and it was fun to read. I am one of the people that liked The Last Jedi. I really appreciated it. I was reinforced with that reading this book. It was fun because it had some extended scenes that you don't get in the movie. It
Like
actually
the funeral of Han Solo.
no, you don't get that.
Oh, what? I thought this people said that's what they said there was going to be in the book was his funeral.
I didn't get any of that.
Oh.
Maybe I was like zoned out on my commute to work and missed the entire funeral. But
I don't know if
I don't
we're
think it's
gonna
in
get
there.
a
Okay.
funeral.
No.
I'll have to look into that.
But one thing I gotta say is there's an extension in that book. So you know the scene. There's a scene in the movie where Kylo Ren is about to shoot Leia's ship, and they kind of have this forced connection where he realizes his mom's on the ship, and he has his thumb on the trigger, kind of thinking, "Should I do this?" And then his shipmate does it, just like shoots the ship, and then she flies into space and has to Mary Poppins back in. But in that moment, she has this flashback to when he was little, and it talks about him running around with the dice from Han's Millennium Falcon, and it specifically states in this book that the dice are the ones that Han used to originally win the Millennium Falcon. However, in the new movie Solo, Sabacc is shown to be a purely card game. There's nothing to do with dice. And he gets the dice earlier in his life, not during this gambling thing. So I was wondering, like, that's a pretty blatant mistake on Lucasfilm's part, the story group that's working to keep canon consistent. It just surprised me that they didn't get that right. Because the movie Solo very clearly explains where those, not where the dice come from, but at least what stage in his life they come from.
Yeah, because he has him when he puts him on the speeder he steals.
Yeah. He puts him on that, and it's way before he ever meets Leia, or way before he ever gets the Millennium Falcon.
And
Years before.
Sabacc is a card game.
It's a strictly card game. And so it didn't make any sense. I don't know why they did that. It was an inconsistency.
So they didn't talk to each other like when they were writing Solo. And
this is
the story group. They're involved in everything, but somehow they slipped through.
And then another thing that I like, because this book would have been written and completed before Solo.
Yeah.
And this is the thing. You have filmmakers making the movies, and they're not going to want to be.
Yeah, but the story group has a part in this.
They have a part in it, but
their job is to keep things consistent, being like, you can do that, or that won't work.
Yeah, and they do give them options, but I think that that's something that could easily slip through the cracks when you have someone like Ron Howard, a big name director, making your movie. You maybe will forego some of those things where the movie trumps there's still going to be some sort of level where the movies are the upper level canon and the books end up there's just so much stuff to keep track of, and when you have all these different people working on it, that it's just naturally going to
that dice kind of, I was confused
discrepancies.
about that dice. I'm like, why did they suddenly just show this dice? I've never seen the dice before.
I do think the story.
And then Solo did talk about the dice, so.
But Sabacc has always been a card game.
Yeah.
It's never involved dice.
Yeah.
And it's always been stated that he won it in a game of Sabacc.
Well, that has been in the past canon. In the new canon,
it's even in the new canon. I think they talk about it in Rebels. Maybe it's been addressed.
Yeah,
at some point.
And it's a card game. It's always been some
Solo
variation.
Didn't make this up.
Yeah, it's always been some variation. Sabacc, because Sabacc is a expanded universe Legends thing that isn't a George Lucas thing.
Right.
Yeah, and it's always been some form of card game. It's because it's supposed to be like the Star Wars version of poker.
It is original canon that he won the Millennium Falcon.
Oh yeah,
from
Lando.
Yeah. That's in Empire Strikes Back.
I mean, Solo shows them playing the card game.
You lost it to me fair and square. You know what?
Yep. Yeah.
And Lando being a cheat.
So anyway, it's not a big deal, and you could explain it like, oh, Leia doesn't remember right, because it's her recollection. Maybe she thinks maybe he told her that or something.
Yeah.
They could explain it away easily. I just noticed it was an inconsistency. But The Last Jedi, even if you remotely liked this movie, I think is worth a read. It's pretty fun.
I need to get
a listen. The audiobooks are really good.
Listen to it. Is it the same reader that's been on all of them for a
yeah,
while?
he's just done a lot of them, and it's fun to have the sound effects.
Oh yeah, they do the sound effects. Sometimes it's distracting to me, but
it's kind of fun though, because you get the music and all. It's more of a thing.
I'll check that out, because as far as like the prequels go, I listen to. Actually, I like the reader. I've only heard him on the for the Phantom Menace. The reader for that, I really like that. But the Phantom Menace novelization, I think it was good. And if you would have read it and never saw the movie, you would have thought, hey, this is a pretty interesting story. I know that some people hate that movie.
That's how I felt about when I read episode 2 and 3, and I read the books before I saw the movies, and I thought,
really?
Yeah,
because
Oh, wow.
because Lucasfilm at that time would release them like 2 weeks before the movie came out.
Really?
You
Yeah,
could have
they
been
would.
spoiled totally if you read the books, because Lucasfilm had a weird.
That's
at
weird.
the time.
I don't remember that.
It was like a week. Yeah, they would release them right around the same time, if not before the movie came out. That was kind of how they would do things.
and the books gave so much more detail. Like, I love in episode 3 where it gives the thoughts of Obi-Wan and him coming one with the Force, and you realize. I mean, that was, at least for me, I've thought this book's really about Obi-Wan. It's Obi-Wan's journey with the Force, not really Anakin's, because Obi-Wan's the one who really learns to master the Force. And I think Obi-Wan's really the only one you feel like you really cares about the Force. I mean, with Yoda, Anakin, he's just reckless, and he's just, and that's really the problem with Anakin, is that he never really learns how to use the Force. But because of him being,
he can use it.
he can use it, but I
he
don't
just
think
naturally knows how to use it. That's
Yeah, he's a natural.
if he would have gone on
he
a
has
different
a
path.
super high midichlorian count.
maybe if Qui-Gon was still around. But I mean, even Qui-Gon understood the Force. I think the Jedi Council.
Qui-Gon had wisdom beyond the
Yeah, he
council. I
did.
think.
Yeah, he
That's
talks
the
about
thing.
like stuff beyond dark and light side, the living force and the cosmic force,
And I think
things
Luke
like that.
and Qui-Gon. So Luke in The Last Jedi would get along with Qui-Gon pretty well, I think.
Yeah,
Because he's realizing the mistakes of
Yeah.
the Jedi Council and how political
and their pride
yeah.
or hubris, as it's
And-
said in
and
The
how-
Last Jedi.
And how it's wrong to avoid affection and avoid connection with people because it can lead to feelings that lead to the dark side.
Yeah, like writing racist tweets.
Oh my gosh, stop.
So we should become one with the Force, so we don't end up writing things.
Please
that-
don't give her any more time.
I'm trying to tie everything back together. I'm trying to make a full circle, one round. You
All right,
know,
do we have any other any things we want to cover before we end this episode today?
I think
I think we
it's a
covered
wrap.
some good stuff. I mean, hopefully,
All I got to say is I'm glad Once Upon a Time ended.
Oh, good.
I watched the first season and it was awful.
No, I liked the first season because I was into it. Then when I hit the second season, I
That's
was
kinda
like,
true, yeah.
ugh, this is getting that Lost feeling.
It was
And I-
100% like women were the target audience for that show, I think.
Yeah, I think so too.
It wasn't, yeah.
Because my wife was like happy to watch it with me. She's like, oh,
I
this is
enjoyed the
interesting.
show. I watched all seasons.
Oh, it's fine. It's just it wasn't good. It
Yeah.
was not a good show.
They had a huge cast in it. Yeah. Well, thanks for listening, everyone. Where can people reach us, guys?
You can reach us on Facebook at Geek Nerd Tangent, Twitter at Geek Nerd Tangent. You can give us a call anytime at 801-769-6668. And Instagram, you
And
can at
email
Geek Nerd
us.
Tangent. Did I say Twitter already? You can email
Yeah,
us
Twitter.
geeknerdtangent@gmail.com. Just reach out to us anytime.
We love to hear from you.
Yep. Give us a suggestion for a topic you want to hear us talk about.
Yeah. Sounds good.
And remember, we love you.
I know. I'm saying, like, I'm not trying to change you. Just back away from the